sports are really important vehicles for relationships.
We have purpose. We have a why. We bring people together. We connect.
I feel like God is our greatest supporter and our greatest coach.
Welcome to Rabbi on the Sidelines. This is Rabbi Sherman from Sinai Temple in Los Angeles. I know the Olympics are far away in Los Angeles in 2028, but this week we are joined by an Israeli Olympic gold medalist from Paris in 2024 in a sport called windsurfing. We're going to learn about a new sport on this podcast. It's wonderful to have Tom Reuveny from Israel. Tom, great to see you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me today.
So you told me you're actually not in Israel. Are we allowed to say where you are or not really?
Yeah, I'm in Hawaii right now.
In Hawaii. Sounds
Yeah.
amazing. You look very relaxed. It's one of the places that I think Moses, when he was looking for from Yetziat Mitzrayim to the Promised Land, he just missed it by a little in the Pacific, but we're glad you're there. So we're going to talk about your sports journey, but also your faith journey, and how those two connect. And I was reading a lot about you, and I want to first begin the faith journey. We do Kodesh and we do Chol here, so it's a little different than your average sports podcast. And I want to talk about not you, but actually your parents' journey, because your father is a Sabra, born in Israel, and your mother was actually born in England and was not Jewish. So share a little about your parents and who they are, how they got to create Tom Reuveny in Israel.
So my dad's side are descendants from Iraq,
Jewish,
nice. That came to Israel in the 1950s. And then my dad was born, grew up in Israel, Jewish, 100% Jewish. Then on the other side, my mom, she was born in England, not to a Jewish family, and never had to do anything with Judaism. And her and my father were traveling in China, and they happened to stumble upon each other, and then they started traveling together and got into a relationship. And then my mom they both fell in love, and my mom decided to move to Israel. And slowly started loving Israel and being having a happy relationship with my father. And she decided to convert. So it's a 2-year process, which is a very big process, but she went through it. And it's, that's where my parents come from. I grew up in Israel. My parents lived in Israel. And
I think we can stop right there. That pretty much sums up an amazing part of this program. But it's truly the story of the Jewish people. Your story through that and then also through sports is pretty amazing. So let's go to the sports world in Israel. Number one, you don't often hear about Israeli Olympic athletes, no less a gold medalist, but no less in windsurfing, where Israel's surrounded by different waters. I asked you off there, like, where do you do this? And actually, you named every body of water in the Galilee, the Mediterranean, and the Red Sea. So take us into the journey of windsurfing and what got your attention there. I would often say Israel equals soccer, or we've had Peter Palchik on the show and friends with Sagi Muki, judo. But you decided to take it to the waves. What was the journey to the water?
So my father, he loves windsurfing, and I remember from a very young age, we would go down to the beach. He would be flying above the water and like cutting through the waves. And then as a kid, I saw that, and the sense of freedom and the speed and the fun, it looked like an amazing sport. So my first memories of life, I remember I was like saying I want to be a windsurfer. And then at the age of 6, my dad took me on for my birthday, he took me on a surfing lesson. So not windsurfing, surfing, which was really fun. And I fell in love with the sport as well. And 2 years later, he took me for a windsurfing lesson. I was 8 years old. It's a big, you need to be big and strong for this sport. So you can't really start at a very, very young age. But I think eight is a perfect age to start. And I started windsurfing, had a lot of fun. And since then, I never looked back.
And so you eventually you're young, only 25 years old. You get to Golf Friedman, who in 2004, only when you were 4 years old, won the gold medal in the 2004 Olympics. How did you get to a coach like that? That's not a normal coach to get to at a young age.
So I started working with Gal a few years ago, so not at the beginning. In 2021, we started working together. I don't remember him winning the gold in 2004. I was too young to remember, but I do remember afterwards and the stories about him and how big of a person he is and a athlete in Israel. So we started working in 2021 together. It was yeah, really good working together with him. I learned a lot. He has, especially in the Olympics, where no one teaches you too much about the Olympics. It's such a different game, so much pressure. Windsurfing isn't the sport on the headlines all the time, but when you get to the Olympics, everyone's watching you, everyone's looking at you, everyone expects you to come home with a medal. So sudden, like him teaching me a lot and giving me a lot of help during the Olympics was really key to my success.
And so talk a little about the sport of windsurfing for those of us who don't know it as well. How do you do it? What does it look like? How do you win? And actually, I watched a YouTube the other night of you and you did win. And at the end, you like sort of popped off the windsurfing board. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's that's one of my favorite photos of the kit in the air and me flying. That was really cool. So windsurfing, we're basically we have a sail, a board, and underneath we have something called a hydrofoil, which basically it looks like a plane. And when we get to speed, it lifts off, and the board is basically hovering above the water. Really, we can go really, really fast because there's no friction between the water and the board. And basically, the wind propels us through the sail. So the wind pushes the sail forward, and that's how we get speed. And we can just keep going and going and going. And basically, the competition is a 6-day event, 5 days of racing. It's called normal racing, we call it, or course racing. We do a short course. We do between 3 and 4 a day. And this is how we do for 5 days.
Wow.
It's a bit hard to explain, but if you finish first, you get 1 point, second 2 points, third 3 points, and so on. And basically, it's a week-long regatta that whoever has the least amount of points at the end is not the winner, but he qualifies to the finals. And then we have the finals day, which is kind of like a knockout stage. And basically, we have 3 races: quarterfinal, semifinal, and final. And every time people get knocked out, and we end up with a final with 3 sailors. And whoever finishes first wins gold, second silver, and third bronze. So the race you've watched was the final of the Olympics, which I think is an amazing race. I really love watching it, and people who watch it are really like, they see the sport, they see how it is, they see the tactical thinking, the speeds. So it's really, really fun to bring people into the sport and to let people understand what we do.
Well, you already hooked me, and I'm ready for 2028. And I want to go to not Paris, where it's the height of everything, but actually Tokyo, where there were a loss. Take us through what you learned in the Tokyo Olympics of not getting the gold and not getting the main stage. What did that process look like to inspire you to then move to 2024?
So to qualify to the Olympics, there's one person from every country, 24 athletes. So first you have to qualify the country, and then you have to qualify yourself inside your country. And Israel is regarded quite a strong windsurf, like lots of good windsurfing athletes. So we basically compete against each other. There's a 1.5 year long process of trials to qualify yourself for the country. And I was leading at some point, and like in the last regatta, I didn't do as well. So different Israeli Avcon did really well. Won the trials, went to Tokyo, and I was left behind in Israel. And I was very young, but I really dreamed for 3 years to be in the Olympic Games, and finishing just outside and not making it was one of the toughest moments in my life. Just having a dream so big and not being able to accomplish it, and ending up seeing someone else accomplish your dream was very tough. He had a very good Olympics, finished 4th, and he was the deserved athlete to go. But for me, it's personally very hard to sit on the sidelines and see someone else achieve your dream. But it made me realize that if I give everything to the sport and do the best I can, I know I can qualify for Paris. And finishing second in the trials is the hardest thing you can do. So we have to give everything for the next. It was 3 years because Tokyo was knocked 1 year later.
Right,
but
it's COVID, exactly.
Yeah. So it was 3 years, and I told myself I have to give everything in these 3 years because there's no chance that I'm missing Paris. And then we had a very tense qualification system that I won basically on the last day.
Wow. And was there something that you did different to prepare for Paris that you did for Tokyo, or is it mazal? Is it luck? Is it circumstance? What was the difference that made you be able to get to Paris?
I think I matured a lot
Mm.
more, and I was able to deal with pressure. So once I was leading the trials, we had the last competition, and I think I was doing very well until the last day. And I think the last day, the pressure was a bit too much for me. And I think in Paris, I was able to deal with the pressure much better, which really helped me perform the way I needed to perform.
And so the difference between 2020 and 2024, or not just in the athletic field, but of course with Israel in the spotlight, specifically after October 7th. You've
Yeah.
spoken a lot about this publicly, and I thank you for that. Not in terms of what it means to be an athlete, but also let's start with what it means to be an Israeli. You have two siblings, an older sister, I believe, and then a brother, and that
Two
brother
younger
served.
brothers.
Sorry, two younger brothers, and
Yeah.
one of those served in combat in 10-7. Take us
Mhm.
to where you were on 10-7. I believe you were actually in a lot training.
Yeah.
What did that day look like? You know, it's one of those moments for all Jews around the world. We remember where we were. Where were you on that day?
So it was the last day of our training camp in Eilat. I was training with one other guy, and we woke up really early, packed our suitcase, went down to the club. I think we were at like seven, a bit after maybe at the club already. And I don't really look at the news every morning. At that time, I didn't look at the news
Yeah.
every morning or like be connected. I don't think I was even around my phone because it was still early in the morning and I wanted to go on the water. And right next to the training club in Eilat, there's an Aroma coffee shop. I don't know if you guys
Yes.
know, but it's a coffee
Do
shop.
we know? We have Starbucks and you have Aroma. It's the best.
Exactly.
In fact, the
Exactly.
Ben Gurion, when you get off the plane, you have to go to Rome before you get in your monit.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. So we went to have something small for breakfast just before the session. And my girlfriend was with me and she noticed that everyone was like glued to their phones, looking at the news.
Mhm.
And I wasn't like paying too much attention. She's much more attentive to detail. And we got the stuff, went back to the club, and she's asked me, why was everyone looking at the news? And she was just checking the news to see what happened. And at the same point, we met my friend who I was training with at the club, and he said, "You don't believe what just happened."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "What happened?" And he shows me the video of the Hamas truck driving in Sderot.
Yep.
And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, this is AI. I don't know where you got this from."
Wow.
I couldn't believe it was real. And then every few minutes, a new story came out, a new video came out. It was horrible. And we canceled the training. We drove straight to some friends who because we didn't have anywhere to stay, so we drove to some friends. We ended up staying with them for 3 days because
Wow.
we didn't feel it was safe to drive on the roads. And yeah, that was basically October 7th. Every day you hear of bigger atrocities. I had two school friends who were killed in the Nova festivals, and I had some more
What were
friends
their
who were
names?
there.
I always like to share their names so we remember them.
Karina Pritika and Shalev
Mhm.
Madmoni.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they were murdered brutally. Took a long time to recognize their bodies, so it wasn't straight away that we knew. It was only after a few days, which is just shows what they were been through, which is really
Mhm.
sad. And my brother on 10 a.m. he was already in the Gaza
Wow.
envelope fighting. So that was pretty intense. I think the good thing is that we didn't exactly know in the beginning, we didn't know how dangerous it was for him, only after a bit, and we had zero contact with him.
Mhm.
But once in a while, I think every 2 days we got like a notification that he was okay. So
And
that was good to know.
And so you often speak about how here you are representing Israel in a very different way than your brother, but as important. When you won the gold medal, I want to quote President Isaac Herzog, who's an amazing man. He said to you, "You made a whole nation happy, a nation that is at war and a nation that prays for the return of those being held hostage." What did that mean when you're standing? I have the goosebumps just saying those words. But what did it mean wearing the gold medal, hearing Hatikva, knowing that the president said that we're a nation at war, but you made this nation happy?
So it was one of the best feelings, I think, even as an athlete you can have. I didn't go to the combat army. I decided to be an athlete. So many of my friends and people that I know went to fight for Israel during these hard times. And the best feeling ever is through this tiny sport that no one really knows anything about, I was able to touch the hearts of the whole nation of Israel, which was amazing because usually in day-to-day life, you don't get to do stuff like that. But you know, in my head, I really believe that the soldiers are the ones who did everything, and they're the amazing people, and they're the ones who deserve all the credit. Because I was just doing my sport, I wasn't in danger most of the time, and they went and risked their lives to save people, which is I think is better than anything you can do.
And so on the international stage, and I've spoken with Peter Palchik a lot about this, the meaning of him holding the flag and what that looked like, leading your delegation. And it wasn't inside, it was actually outside. And he said it was the scariest day of his life and the most exciting and exhilarating day of his life as well. What does it look like an Israeli athlete when you're in Olympic Village, but you don't get to be with all the athletes simply because you're a Jew from Israel?
So the windsurfing was held in Marseille, so we had a separate Olympic village for us in Marseille, which was much smaller. I only went to the big Olympic village afterwards. But in Marseille, to be fair, it was quite like you didn't feel any hatred from the athletes. There's less athletes from like Arab countries in sailing, so it's not as big as, let's say, other sports. So we didn't feel any hostility towards us inside the Olympic Village, but we're not allowed to leave. So it's a small hotel basically, and you're stuck there for 2 weeks, not allowed to leave, not allowed to go anywhere because of security.
Wow.
Which was, yeah, it was a real shame. Like my family were there, my girlfriend was there, and I couldn't really
Couldn't even see them.
go out to say hello. Yeah, we talked. There was a fence between us, which was
Jeez.
quite a shame. But you know, that's the security rule, and we obliged to it.
But only for
Um,
Israeli athletes. I want to make right.
it was an Israeli security. Like the Israeli security told us that it wasn't like from the Olympics or from the Olympic
Right.
Village.
But just the
Israeli
fact that
security.
no other country and athletes have to do this, and here you are as a
Yeah.
young person representing your country and has to have those accommodations when you go outside of our own homeland.
Yeah, usually in every European and World Championships, we have security and we always aware of the threat towards us. Everyone remembers what happened in Munich in 1972, and no one wants it to happen again. So also the athletes
Yes.
have to be very aware of the situation and know what to do. But during the Olympics, I think from the third day of competing, when I was doing quite well, I think I was second or third, the inbox on my social media started getting flooded with hate
Nice.
messages towards
Oh,
me. And I'm talking
wow.
about also very positive messages, which I'm very thankful for. The Jewish community and Israeli community were really pushing and really proud, which always lifts you up and makes you stronger. And then there was the hate messages, which was, I think, I've never seen all of them. There were so many, like thousands of hate messages calling for telling me I need to go out the Olympics, I don't deserve to compete, saying that Israel is a terrorist country. Even some of them were death threats.
Wow.
So that was during the games. So many of them, but I actually think it kind of motivated me because it made me realize that I'm on the right side and I need to keep fighting to win a medal, because that would be like showing that I'm better and showing that I'm higher and I'm not going down to their level. So instead of like replying to these messages or making it take me down, I knew the best reply was to be higher and to be better and to be winning.
I love that. And so I often hear in terms of Olympic athletes that when, some people will refuse to compete against you. I don't know if you've had any of those circumstances, but when people do compete against you, they actually have the opportunity to shake your hand, to learn about who you are, to learn about your country. Any of those opportunities come up where somebody learned about Israel through you that didn't know and then became a Ohavei Yisrael, a lover of the people of Israel?
So I think in our sport, because Israel is very dominant, we don't have a lot of, let's say, Muslim countries. We do have a few, but not many. But I think we show a very good, like we show Israel and we show who we are and we show that we're human beings. And I think that's in all sports, it's very important to have Israel participate and to be
Yes.
there. It's because that's a very good way to build bridges to the world, a very good way to show that we're human, we're nice people, we don't have bad intentions, and we just want to live like everyone else. And I think through sport, that's what I'm trying to show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure other people around the world who are doing, like, presenting Israel in sport are doing the same. So I think that's what's amazing in sport, and I think that's why they're trying to take us out of sport now, or out of Eurovision, or out of these competitions, because they don't want to show that we're human.
Has there been a time that you have either have been boycotted against or taken out of a competition because you're from Israel?
Me personally, I'm trying to think. I don't think, but I know of competitions that Israelis were not allowed to travel
Of
to,
course. Mm-hmm.
or competitions that like there were senior worlds when I was a bit younger that they weren't allowed to travel to, as on Oman, and there was another youth event that one of the girls was allowed to travel. She won, and then they didn't play the tikva on the
Oh wow.
podium.
So
Yeah,
let's
so that was a bit.
take us to the hatikva moment where you're standing on that stand, Liotam Chofshi Be'artseinu. When you hear that, when you see that, who's in the crowd, or do you see people singing the hatikva with you? Describe that moment to us that only you can experience and share with us.
So in windsurfing, like I said, we don't have a big audience, we don't have many fans, and then I walk out onto that podium and I just see the whole field filled with Israeli flags. And what was amazing
Ooh,
to
I'm
me
in
is that,
tears for that. Wow.
yeah, I have goosebumps too. But what was really amazing is that most of the Israeli flags had the Hatufim symbol.
Yes, the hostages.
So that was like, that really sent me
Mm.
back to the moment, and just remember what's going on in Israel. But then on the other hand, being there with all the Israeli flags, hearing the tikva was just amazing. The only problem I had is that the all the like the music of the tikva was faced towards the audience, so
Oh.
I couldn't really hear the music. So I didn't know when it started and when it stopped. So I was actually quite confused. But I tried to sing, and I was like, okay, if I'm not in the sync, it's okay. This is the moment, and just to be here and sing the tikva. And I think that was so powerful, and I think it really meant a lot to everyone, also in Israel, and I think probably the Jewish community around the world, just to hear the tikva and to show that we are here and that we are great and that we can be good at sports as well and be good at lots of things. I think that's really powerful for Israel and the Jewish community, and I'm really proud that I was able to do that for our country.
So it just means that you have to have another opportunity to hear the Hatikva that will be in sync with you. And that, of course, is going to be in Long Beach and Los Angeles when all of us at Sinai Temple are going to be with you, cheering you on. And what's most beautiful is that it won't have a hostage symbol. God willing, Ran Vili of Zichron Livracha will be also returned home. And so, as an Israeli, what does that mean that in 2024 there were hundreds of hostages? But today, when we're speaking, there's only one left, and God willing to be returned soon. Actually, Omer Shem Tov was here in Sinai Temple 2 weeks ago. Eli Sharabi
Wow.
is actually going to be here at Sinai Temple next week on Hanukkah. What does that mean in Israeli that that people are home?
I think it's just a big rock that's been lifted off our shoulders. I think every single one of us in Israel feels just relieved that they're home. I remember during the games, like, always having that thought when you're after racing, you're saying to yourself, there's people in tunnels right now. And I think
Yes.
that thought is just horrible, and the amount of time they spent there is just ridiculous. And I think that thought always, on every single Israeli and probably also the Jewish community, I think it weighed you down a bit, just to think what those people are going through, and that it was sometimes hard to think of and comprehend what was going on and how they were suffering for so long. So I feel very relieved that they're back home, and I'm very happy, and I hope they manage to go back to their normal lives and try and live a life that's good for them.
And I think what you touched on just before, you said it so just quietly and in passing, but what you did in 2024 as a 24-year-old was huge and is huge for the Jewish community. For my children who are 14, 12, and 10, sitting in Los Angeles, during a time of war that Israel is not on an international stage, being picked on and saying, look at this young man, Tom Reuveny. Guys, he can do it. He represents not only Israel, but us as Jews. As you said in the beginning, your mother was not born Jewish, chose the Jewish people, chose the state of Israel, and here you are representing that Israel to so many others as well.
Yeah.
I want to ask us an interesting question about the water. You said you've trained in the Galilee, the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean. You didn't say the Dead Sea. I'm wondering how windsurfing
No,
would be on Yam HaMelach.
I should try. I should try one day.
That would be an amazing YouTube that would not be AI generated. But what's the difference on the three C's and like so historical that I mean, from your mother's tradition, like the Christian tradition, you literally walking on water on the Galilee and the Mediterranean and the Yam HaTichon, and then like Yetziat Mitzrayim. My favorite thing to do when I go to Israel by Eilat is to actually recite Micha Mocha, the song that the Israelites sang as they crossed the Red Sea, as you see the flag of Egypt right there. So what's it like? Do you ever think about the history of what you're doing while you're training on these ancient waters?
Yeah, actually, a lot of times. First of all, in the Mediterranean, we train near Caesarea, so we see
beautiful.
that part of history. And then in the Sea of Galilee, there's the other part of history. And then you go to the Red Sea, and there's completely different part of history. And I think that's what's amazing in Israel is that everywhere there is something like big history that's been there, and everywhere is so different. So if you go to the Sea of Galilee, it's very, very different to the Red Sea in terms of the background, in terms of the water. So it's really amazing to be able to change it up, and also the history there is like very big. And like I said before, when you talk to windsurfers from abroad who are Christian, who believe in Jesus, and then you tell them that you go and windsurf in the Sea of Galilee, their eyes lit up. So I think that's also a very positive thing. And some people have come to train with us in Israel,
awesome.
and
have
come to train with us in the Sea of Galilee. So they all really enjoyed it, and they were all really amazed by Israel. And I think it's a beautiful country, and I'm happy that through our sport we can show history, and we can bring people to see the country and enjoy it.
So I don't know if you know much about American Jewry, but when we go to the Sea of Galilee, we do two things: the disco boat ride. I've done the banana boat, and we climb down Mount Arbel, and then we hop in the sea after that. So Blue Beach in the Sea of Galilee.
So we train right next to there. We're in
no way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
of
it's
course,
about 2 kilometers.
Oh, that's so great. So next time on our trip, we'll have to if the trainings are open, we love to observe.
Yeah.
Two last questions. One, I know you also lost neighbors in 10/7. We'd love to maybe share with you, are those neighbors? I don't know if they're the same people that were killed in the Nova Festival, but just share a little bit, not just their names, but a little bit about them and what their legacy can mean to us as well.
So Sagi Dan, we're the same age. We were together in kindergarten. Wow. And I think we were in every single school afterwards, not in the same class. We weren't like, he lived 2 houses away from me, and he was fighting. He was in the explosion of the 21 soldiers that died in one of the buildings, so he was one of them. Unfortunately, like, he was an amazing guy, loved Israel, loved serving for his country, and I think I at the time I was 1 week before my World Championships in Lanzarote, and I opened the news in the morning, and that was my most important regatta in the trials for the Olympics. So this was my most important event. This is where I qualified for the Olympics, and I remember just sitting down with my girlfriend in the morning, reading the news, seeing his photo that he passed away, and just seeing his smile. It like really struck me, and me and my girlfriend just started crying. And it also felt really close to home, because at that point, Nati, my brother, was fighting in Gaza for a few months. You don't really I didn't speak to him in a long time, and every day you go to sleep worried that you'll get the phone call, and just thinking of a family that I know that got that phone call and was in pieces, and that really hit me hard. And to this day, like, I'm very emotional when I speak about him. But he served our country, and he was an amazing guy. And unfortunately, he left this world too early.
Well, thank you for sharing his words, and it's amazing. And I believe you said, I'm not sure if it's a quote exactly, but like when you won, you did it for them. You did it for everybody that allowed you and allowed us to do what we love to do. So in this live podcast, we're just a couple of days from Hanukkah. I'm not sure where you're going to be for Hanukkah, but lighting the Chanukiah, and we say Ma'alim b'kodesh v'lo moridin, that we go up in holiness and not down. That's how we follow Rabbi Hillel and not Shammai. Shammai said you should take a candle away every night, but here is Rabbi Hillel who says actually add a candle each night. And listening to your story, that's exactly what you do every day, every year. You add light to what we're doing. And so give us your Hanukkah message as you go to LA 2028. I hope this is just the beginning of the relationship with us at Sinai Temple and Rabbi on the Sidelines. As you begin to train here, you'll meet our community. I promise when you come to Sinai Temple, you're going to be embraced and supported in any way that we can help you. So what's your Hanukkah message to us, and how can we help you get to LA 2028 right here at Sinai Temple?
So first of all, we'll meet in July. I'll be in LA. I'd love to come and see your. I'd love to come and see your synagogue and be with you guys. You seem really amazing, and that's what I love about the Jewish community, is that we always, just like in Hanukkah, we lift each other up, and we just add. And I think the power the Jewish community gave me during the Olympic Games was incomparable. Just amazing people, and we lift each other up. And I think that's what makes us so strong, is that you see in other places people try and tear each other down and bring each other down and tear them apart, but we actually lift each other up, and we're proud of each other, and we're strong. And I think that's what makes this community and this faith so amazing and so good.
Tom Reuveny, I could not have said it any better. 2024 Olympic gold medalist in windsurfing, now a friend of Rabbi on the Sidelines and Sinai Temple. Enjoy Maui, as we I want to let everybody know it's 8:30 or 9 o'clock in Los Angeles. I didn't realize you were going to be in Maui. I thought it was going to be 6 p.m. in Israel. It is 6 a.m. in Maui. That is true dedication to Rabbi on the Sidelines, our earliest guest ever. But it's really an amazing opportunity to meet you, to share your story with our sports and faith community, Jewish, not Jewish, Israel, around the world. You are a Hanukkah story, sharing light and bringing or allowing us to lift people up. Tom Reuveny, wonderful to see you, and we'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.